Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another Forks Friday Live, and this is surely a special one. I know you usually see me and Corey, but now we've upgraded. No offense, Corey. We are here with the founder and president of PCRM, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, author of over 100 scientific publications and 20 books, including his program for reversing diabetes, Power Foods for the Brain, and the 21-day weight loss kick start. We're going to be talking about another book today, but first, let me introduce Dr. Neal Barnard. Dr. Barnard, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, it's terrific to be with you. Thank you so much.
I'm imagining a lot of our community out there already knows you. You have been a pioneer, a staple in the field, the plant-based community, obviously scientific research overall. And now we have a new addition that everyone is going to be benefiting from. This is the Power Foods diet, the latest from Dr. Neal Barnard. Dr. Barnard, what was the inspiration for this new addition to the amazingly educational arsenal of resources that you've already put out?
Oh, well, thank you. I have to say that the Power Foods diet has been really a fun journey. There has been quite a shift in how we're approaching weight loss. People want to get rid of excess weight for health reasons or whatever the reasons may be. However, the old approach of trying to starve it off or avoiding carbohydrates has given way to a newer approach toward looking at overall dietary patterns. More plant-based, getting away from animal products helps with weight loss. However, we've got a whole new shift within that, which is certain foods specifically cause weight loss. And I have to say, I want to give some credit to Harvard because there has been a lot of kind of fluky literature on this over time. You know, this magic food will cause weight loss or whatever. But in 2015, Harvard researchers found that certain foods actually cause, or I should put it this way, in looking at more than 100,000 research participants, they found that the more they ate of certain foods, the more weight they lost. And the thing is, that's the opposite of what you'd think. You think if I eat more of anything, it doesn't matter if it's a healthy food or an unhealthy food. If I eat more, I'm going to gain weight. But that isn't what they found. They found for certain foods, if they increased their consumption of those, they would lose weight. So my job was to put this to the test, to identify the foods, and there are dozens of them, and then to work with our recipe developers to turn it into desserts and main dishes and appetizers and soups and all kinds of wonderful things that people can use so the foods do the weight loss work for you. You're no longer counting carb grams or calories and whatever, and the weight loss is effectively automatic.
I imagine that one of the biggest barriers that a lot of people have is they think this is too difficult, whether it's just something in the mind or from past experiences where they've fallen short. Maybe it hasn't worked right away, but perhaps they weren't doing it the right way. So it's so exciting that you truly do explore the easiest and the most effective ways to lose weight permanently, just like you mentioned, not counting calories, not fearing carbohydrates. And we're going to be going into a lot of high carbohydrate foods soon, and also not going hungry. Would you say that that encapsulates what we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah, there are really three effects that the foods have. They'll either tame your appetite. So you fill up and you're satisfied, you think you're done, but when I measure it, you've actually eaten a couple of hundred calories less. That's appetite taming. The second is calorie trapping. And this is wild. If you eat certain foods, they will actually trap calories in your digestive tract, carry them out with a waste before you can absorb them. And you are flushing calories down the toilet. And the third thing is metabolism boosting. So your calorie burning speed, if it's slowing down over time, so that you just look at food and you gain weight, well, let's speed it back up. We can do that by changing what happens in your cells, and foods will do that work for us once we know which foods they are.
Now, what's fantastic is we're going to go in depth because we have an amazing audience here. Just to take a look, we have people from Toronto, Tennessee, Florida. We have British Columbia, Ohio, New Jersey. We have people from all over the world who are so excited to hear about these breakthrough studies. And I'm so happy that you brought up each of those three. We're going to go into each one of them because what's wonderful about Dr. Barnard, if everyone doesn't know it, what I know, and of course what you know, is Dr. Barnard, you have this amazing gift of being able to iterate and relay some pretty high level stuff. We're not all doctors, we're not all researchers. So to be able to feel like we can trust the information because it's presented in a wonderful way, but also you break it down so that everyone can understand. And I think everyone here is excited. So let's dive into that first breakthrough study about appetite taming foods. I believe that a main tenet of that is that the quality of the food can really naturally reduce the quantity of calories consumed when you're consuming those right foods.
Yeah, let me mention maybe two aspects of this. Appetite taming is so important because many people feel like, oh, my appetite's out of control. I could eat anything. I'm always hungry. You have an appetite turnoff switch. We actually have more than one. And when you eat food, your digestive tract releases a compound called GLP-1. Glucagon-like peptide number 1, GLP-1. Your digestive tract makes it naturally. It's released when you've eaten a meal. It goes up your bloodstream to your brain. The GLP-1 arrives at the brain and turns off your appetite. And this is for a good reason, because your digestive tract needs to be able to say to the brain, I've already got all the food I can manage. I'm digesting this, don't eat more. So it turns off the appetite. Now, my research colleague here, Dr. Hanna Kalayova, did an amazing study. She brought in research volunteers, and yes, she really did. She fed them a McDonald's sandwich. And she then measured the GLP-1 in their bloodstream, and the answer was nothing. The McDonald's sandwich did not cause a GLP-1 spike. Okay, she then did the experiment again. She gave everybody a plant-based sandwich, and the GLP-1 level went bang. It just went right up and right down. So in other words, something in the plant sandwich was turning off the appetite effectively in a good way. What is that? Well, part of it is fiber. But there's fiber in beans, there's fiber in vegetables and fruits. There is no fiber in a burger.
Right.
Part of it is complex carbohydrate. That's healthy starches. That's in plant foods. It's not in a burger. And that McDonald's bun, it's white bread, so all the fiber has been removed. Now, don't get me wrong. Eventually, you will fill up on McDonald's food. But what you're feeling then is your stomach is full. You're eating to the point of pain. Well, you have an appetite turn-off switch that should kick in before the point of pain, and that relies on complex carbohydrates, and it relies on fiber. But we also have done a number of studies where we bring in people, and if they adopt a diet that avoids animal products and keeps oils really low, the two things are happening automatically. One is there's fiber in everything you're eating, and you're really boosting the complex carbs, and you're diminishing the fat. When you do that and you measure, you say, okay, research participant, tell me when you're at the point of satiety. When are you done? And before they do this, on their omnivorous diet, you can rate how many calories it takes to get them full. And then they adopt the diet that keeps the animal products out, oil's really low. You ask them again, eat till you're full. Tell me when you get to that point. It's a couple of hundred calories sooner. They stop eating. They say, I've eaten my normal meal. We measure it, and they're not. They're eating a couple of hundred calories less than before. So we're using the foods that turn off the appetite. The foods, and this is really fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans. And I'm going to say kind of a sad thing. This is not avocados. Yes, I love avocado toast. It's delicious. Everybody loves it. But it is very calorie dense. It's also not oily foods. Oily foods in general pack in a lot of calories before you fill up.
I'm so excited to dive into some more of those foods and highlight them. It's great also at the same time with knowing all of the abundant variety of foods that we should, can, and hopefully will enjoy eating. To name some of those that you did: animal products, some higher fat foods, avocados, coconuts, knowing that by taking in more of those abundant variety of foods that we'll be talking about, a lot of those foods also become a lot easier to sort of wean out over time. Would you say that's the case?
Yeah, and let me give you a list of really 6 categories that came out of Harvard. Harvard, as I mentioned earlier, they tracked more than 100,000 people and found that if they ate more of certain foods, they lost weight. And there's a whole bunch. Let me give you 6. The number one category, I have to tell you, at Harvard was the unassuming, modest blueberry. That's right. Blueberries and their cousins, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries. That was number one. And it didn't matter. If you had the blueberries in a muffin, it still counted.
Mm.
Now, if you put a tablespoon of butter in that muffin, it's not going to count anymore. Okay, group number two was the cruciferous vegetables. You know them already. That's broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. They're cancer fighters, but they also are strongly associated with weight loss. Group number three, green leafy vegetables in general. This is like spinach, asparagus. Group number four was a little bit of a surprise. It's melons, but it was cantaloupe and it was watermelons. And group numbers, I'm sorry, that's group number four. Group number five is citrus fruits, and that's oranges, grapefruits, but also, surprisingly enough, juice counted. Now, a lot of people say, no, don't have juice. You should have the whole fruit. And that's true. But in the Harvard study, juice still was part of the solution. And okay, that's number five. Sorry?
Yeah, no, that's also great to know, because I know that's a big misconception that a lot of people have. What's number six?
Okay, group number six. These are foods that our grandparents knew all about, but kids today wouldn't recognize them if they saw them. And that is the humble bean. Beans, black bean soup, kidney beans, all beans, including soybeans and soybean products. Now, the more people ate of soybean products like tofu, tempeh, edamame, the more weight that they lost as well, which is a little bit of a surprise because soybeans are a little bit higher in fat than other beans, but they all worked. Also, their partners, lentils and peas also work. Now, there are many, many more, but those are great ones for starters. So here's what I'm saying. Let's say you're going to go on a plant-based diet. Great, but why not emphasize the foods that we know have extra power? I'm going to call them the power foods because not all foods are created equal.
And that I already see people in the comments sharing some of the different foods that you mentioned that they absolutely love. Please feel free. If there is a food that Dr. Barnard names and you love it, share it. And in addition to these foods, we're going to go a little bit more into those power foods. We have a really exciting compact guide that is going to highlight all of these foods for you, so you can make sure that everything Dr. Barnard shares is going to be in your possession, along, of course, with his new Power Foods diet. At any point, just comment guide, and we will send it on over to you. Just comment guide in the comment section, and we will get you Dr. Barnard's Power Foods guide. Now, we just did a little preview, especially from that Harvard study, on those top 6 categories of foods. And I know we'll be talking about a few others also. To kind of go back to this trajectory, this evolution of these breakthrough studies, which ultimately led you to this Power Foods diet. Can you share a bit more about the Tufts University study that talked about calorie trapping foods? What's calorie trapping?
This is a wild thing, actually. Let me lead up with this because there are really 2 studies that I want to make sure you know about. One, I mentioned the Harvard study where they identified the foods. 2 years after that, in the year 2017, there were 2 big studies that came out. The first one in the United Kingdom, they brought in 2,734 women who were all twins. They were all part of a twin pair, and it was almost 3,000 women. Everyone got a DEXA scan. That's a scan that shows us your body composition, how much fat do you have on your thighs or on your belly or whatever. And what they found was the twin who ate the most foods with anthocyanins in them. Anthocyanins are the blue color in a blueberry. They're also red anthocyanins. That's the red color in a strawberry. The twin who ate the most anthocyanins had less total body fat and specifically 9% less abdominal fat compared with her genetically identical twin sister. So in other words, the genes are the same, but the foods are associated with weight loss. Okay, the very same year, researchers at at Tufts University did the study you're asking about. They brought in 90 people, and they randomly assigned them to test what this phenomenon we call calorie trapping. Half of them were asked to eat white bread, white rice. In other words, the fiber's been removed. The other half had whole grain bread, whole grain rice, that's brown rice, which still has the fiber. And then they did something that my research team is never going to do, which is they took stool samples from everybody. Yes, they did. And they kind of teased through them. And what they found was that when you eat a high fiber food like whole grain bread, the fiber breaks up into 1 million tiny sponges. And among all the other things that fiber does, one of the things it does is it's looking for unabsorbed calories. It picks them up just like a sponge, and it moves them down the digestive tract. It carries them out with the waste. Before you can even absorb them, you have lost about 100 calories. You flushed them down the toilet. Now, this does not happen with white rice. It does not happen with white bread, but it does happen with the whole grain versions. Why? Because they've got the fiber that does it. So that's, now 100 calories is not a huge amount, but if you're losing 100 calories a day from calorie trapping and roughly 200 calories a day from appetite taming and another 200 or so from the metabolism boost, it's quite significant. And this is what leads to the weight loss that we call automatic.
That is absolutely fantastic. And to know that all of them add up, there's a simplicity to it, and yet the math checks out. You just alluded to it as far as the metabolism boosting. That is our third category, which we can wrap up with everything, these calorie burning foods. I love in the book your reference to don't slow down the furnaces. We talked about a lot of those animal foods, the high fat foods that really gunk up the process. So what are some key metabolism boosters as we talk about this final study?
Okay, well, one was the anthocyanins, which is in blueberries, but it's also in strawberries. And even if you take a pear has a maybe yellowish, but it has kind of a little red blusher on the bottom. That's anthocyanins too. They're a metabolism booster. But there's a surprise. There are certain spices that we use. Ginger is one. Hot peppers are one. But one that I think is really cool is cinnamon. Now, yes, exactly. Everybody loves cinnamon. But cinnamon has a compound in it called an aldehyde. And researchers couldn't figure out what to name it. Researchers aren't always such creative people. I mean, let's face it, they wear bow ties. So this aldehyde that was found in cinnamon, they just called it cinnamaldehyde. But it's been sitting in cinnamon for all these years, waiting for you to have some cinnamon toast or cinnamon on your oatmeal. When you do, the cinnamaldehyde goes down your digestive tract. It attaches to a receptor that causes it to squirt a little bit of adrenaline into your bloodstream. Just now, don't worry. It's not a lot of adrenaline. I don't have to peel you off the ceiling, but it's just a little bit to increase your metabolism. So it's a metabolism booster. And one other, if you ever went to a Mexican restaurant and they put just a few too many jalapeno peppers on your burrito and your tongue is a little singed, that's the action of capsaicins. Capsaicins actually they initiate thermogenesis, meaning your body is creating a little body heat. And that means calories are burned off into the atmosphere. They can't go to fat. So if you tried, say, a bell pepper, it's a nice crunch, but it doesn't have the capsaicins in it. So it doesn't cause the metabolism boost. But the hotter the pepper, the more it happens. Now, don't feel you need to just wipe out your tongue with hot peppers, because there are lots and lots and lots of power foods. And so for the cinnamon and the blueberries, I've got French toast made with cinnamon, and I've got syrup made with blueberries. Put them together, and your breakfast is a slimming breakfast. For chili, have chili, Southwest. Oh, there you go. And by the way, let me say a big thank you to Dustin Harder and Lindsay S. Nixon. Dustin Harder is a great recipe developer. He's also the food photographer, and just did a brilliant job. And Lindsay S. Nixon also. So Lindsay Nixon and Dustin Harder and I worked together on this, and I want to give them credit for these fantastic recipes. They just did brilliantly. So there you have it. When we put these foods into power foods, like our French toast or our Southwest chili or our wild blueberry muffins or our carrot cake, these are all made in a really healthy way. Of course, it's all entirely plant-based. It's absolutely just killer delicious.
I want to eat the book. I want to eat the book.
Yeah, I had to say when Dustin sent me his photography, I said, this book is 2 inches away from food porn. But
I know. Is the book considered a power food on its own? We should read it. We should not eat it. We should eat these foods.
Yes. Exactly.
Now, Dr. Barnard, what's wonderful is to be able to showcase all of these amazing recipes. Everyone, as I was showing, just delicious, salivating, right? We start building up already. I think one of the tougher things that people experience is going, how do I get from where I was at to here? So, for example, the French toast. We're used to making a French toast with eggs and soaking it in dairy milk, cooking it in butter. How do we make the shift to this French toast?
Okay, well, everything here is is totally plant-based. So there are simple substitutions. But when we did these, Dustin and Lindsay and I made the agreement that we were going to make sure that the recipes used familiar ingredients. So many of us have family members who are not 100% sure that they want to really eat in a healthy way. So we had to make sure that we used ingredients that were familiar. And the recipes are in three categories. The main category is easy, meaning you're in and out of the kitchen pretty fast. The second category is what we call convenient, meaning you're not in the kitchen at all. It's a question of just show me which can I need to open or which thing I can buy pretty much already made. And then the final category is what we call elegant. They're still easy recipes, but they're a little bit snappier. So for example, my French toast, now I'm going to put a mint leaf on it and a little confection of sugar and three little bowls of different strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and so forth. And the whole point of this is when your friends are coming over for your Sunday morning brunch, we are going to seduce their taste buds into absolutely killer foods. So none of them are difficult, but all of them are relatively easy and they're familiar.
And to know that there is that familiarity, right? We all love French toast, and there is a version of this that focuses on those power foods for weight loss and for health. There are chilies.
But I really should say, I don't want people to just run to the store and buy the first pack of blueberries they see or the first jar of cinnamon. I do want people to be smart about this. Take blueberries, for example. Go to the store and take at least 5 seconds and look at the blueberries. Their shelf life is short. You're going to see some of the packets you pick up are a little bit shrunken, or they might even have traces of mold. Set that aside. Don't buy it. Get one that's plump. Get one that is organic. And now, organic is not essential for everything, but for blueberries, I think it's really important. If you buy a banana, if it's pesticide treated, you're going to throw the peel away along with whatever pesticides were on it. You're not peeling blueberries, so they should be organic. When it comes to cinnamon, don't buy the first jar of cinnamon that you see. Look at it, see where it's from. If it's Saigon cinnamon, Indonesian cinnamon, China cinnamon, that is it's not true cinnamon. That's cassia. Get Ceylon cinnamon, Ceylon. That's the one you want. It's a little more subtle, but it's a really healthy one that's going to give you the weight loss that you want.
That is a fantastic tip, and thank you so much for sharing all of that. To be able to have all of these easy options, we're shopping easier, we have easy meals available, and we also have that extra elegance for when we do want to wow loved ones and other company. When making this transition, how would you categorize the changes in the body, both taste buds and, of course, people when they are looking to lose weight, oftentimes are always looking for those results. As far as a timeline goes with some of these changes, what have you noticed?
Okay, if a person is totally new to this and they've never done it before, there is a temptation to say, well, let's go really slow. Let's take baby steps. And I want to tell you something, I don't do that. What I'll say, and people will say, well, you got to meet people where they are. Yeah, I do think you have to meet people where they are, but where they are is the emergency room. So people want change, they want success, they want to lose their weight, and they want to lose their weight now. So I take that seriously, because if you get a quick reward, first of all, it makes you healthier faster, but secondly, it makes you realize you're on the right path. If the changes people make are too small, they're not going to feel the reward, they're not going to see the results. So here's how we do it. In our research studies or at Barnard Medical Center here, either way, we've seen thousands of people in both. You come in, you're skeptical, you're not so sure this will work. I'm going to say, we've got 7 days. We got 1 week. And during this week, what we're going to do is first figure out the foods that work for you the best. So start with breakfast, then think about lunch, think about dinner. Okay, for breakfast, what could I have that doesn't have animal products, that keeps oils low, that puts the power foods front and center? All right, let's see, oatmeal with some blueberries and cinnamon, fine. If you don't like it, you don't write it down. If you like it, it goes on your list. All right, well, I'm eating sausage. Oh my God, okay. Is there a healthy sausage? Well, yes, there is. Go to the store, here's a Morningstar veggie patty, try it. If you don't like it, it doesn't go on the list. If you like it, you put it down. Then let's say we're doing lunch. Okay, I like chili. Well, I've got a chili recipe for you. Or you're a spaghetti kind of person. Try my arrabbiata sauce. Our whole goal is to take 1 week and find the foods that will work for you, but that you genuinely like. 7 days is more than enough time.
Sure.
Then Step 2 is 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, we are going to do it all plant-based. We are going to keep oils really low, and we're going to focus especially on the power foods that you identified in the first week. And at the end of just short 3 weeks, people discover 2 things. Number 1, they're physically transforming. They're losing weight. Their blood sugar is coming down. Their digestion is dramatically better. But secondly, their tastes are reformulating around healthy foods. And they discover, I haven't had chicken wings in 3 weeks. I don't miss them. I haven't had oily foods. And your tastes are learning how to eat and really embrace healthy foods. And from there, the process is absolutely automatic. The weight loss begins on day 1, and we want to make sure we maximize it so that you feel rewarded.
That is so exciting. And to know that there are obviously places that people can head into to work more directly, but also everything that we've shared here is so accessible. Again, please comment guide. If you haven't commented guide in the comments yet, we will send you a wonderful PDF that shares all of these 3 breakthrough studies and the power foods. Of course, you can find everything in the Power Foods diet. Dr. Barnard, we have so many wonderful questions. I know we don't have time to take all of them, but I would love to get some questions from the community who want to pick that wonderful, powerful brain of yours. What about white rice instead of brown rice? Will that compensate for brown rice?
White rice is okay. Brown rice is dramatically better. Brown rice has the fiber in it, and that's where the calorie trapping comes from. Now, let's say you're at a Chinese restaurant and white rice is all they have. Have it. It beats the heck out of having pork chops. The white rice is okay. But if you have the opportunity for brown rice, it's always better.
That's fantastic. I think a big thing that we always love to share over here is progress, not perfection, and the care that you put into sharing this information. As long as you are taking baby steps ahead, those add up into big, powerful leaps. So those choices are great. Let's get another question from our group. It's about tofu and soy products. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about it being detrimental to men. Can you touch a little bit on different soy products, Dr. Barnard?
Okay, yeah. There's a lot of mythology around soy. The first thing is, for women, does soy cause cancer? And what they're thinking of is that soy products contain isoflavones that do attach to estrogen receptors, and that led people to speculate that the soy could cause cancer for women. But research has been done, and many, many women have been studied. It turns out that soy products reduce cancer risk for women by about 30%. There's about a 30% drop in breast cancer risk. And for women previously diagnosed with breast cancer, soy products also reduce recurrence. So soy is a good thing. It's a cancer fighter. And what we now know is that the soy isoflavones attach not to estrogen receptor alpha, which is the gas pedal on cancer. They attach to estrogen receptor beta, which you could think of as like the brake on cancer. Now, for men, a lot of men have gotten this mythology that soy will, forgive my French here, they will say that soy causes man boobs. And what they mean is that if you eat soy, it has hormones in it that will cause breast enhancement. You can disprove this any August afternoon. Go to the beach and you'll see a guy who's a little overweight. He's pulling off his t-shirt and he's got some breast enhancement. Go right up to him and say, "Excuse me, how much tofu have you eaten this week?" I promise you, he will say, "I don't eat tofu at all. What are you talking about? I don't eat any of that stuff. I'm a burger guy. I'm a chicken guy." The reason that he has man boobs is because, and this is really important, he has been eating burgers. He's been eating cheese pizza. It's caused weight gain. When you gain more body fat, your fat cells are not just a bag of calories. Each fat cell is a factory. And when a man has a lot of body fat, if he eats animal products, he's going to gain more weight. His testosterone, made in his testes, goes through the bloodstream to his fat cell. The fat cell converts his testosterone to estrogen, and it comes out of the cell. So let me be clear. He's got testosterone. His body fat is converting it to female sex hormones, to estrogens. That's causing his breast enhancement. The answer to this is for him to go on a totally plant-based diet. His fat, fat will diminish, and his testosterone will stop being converted so much to estrogens that he will have a higher testosterone level. He'll also have better fertility, by the way. According to the best research we have, men who consume more animal products, especially cheese, have reduced sperm counts and reduced sperm morphology and motility. So animal products do not make you macho.
Increased fertility, better athletic recovery, higher energy. We are focusing on foods that will support weight loss journeys, but also have so many other benefits.
This is the Power Foods diet, and each food gives you power in various ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have time for a couple more questions. Is plain yogurt a fermented food? From Donna Phillips.
Yogurt is a fermented food, but if it's from a cow, then it's a dairy product. And dairy products, unfortunately, not only have sugar and saturated fat in them typically, but they also contain estrogens directly. The cow makes estrogens, and they end up in animal products like dairy. So they're best avoided. If you have soy yogurt or a yogurt from a plant source, then you're miles ahead.
We talked about legumes as one of the power foods. So we're talking about all different types of beans. Specifically over here, we have a question about lentils and chickpeas. If anyone has sensitivities to certain foods, what would you recommend as alternatives, or any other suggestions for being able to perhaps reduce sensitivities to legumes?
Okay. Well, first of all, my heart is breaking for you if you're sensitive to beans. But that can, it's very uncommon, but it can occur. If there are certain beans that you can tolerate, you could certainly focus on those. Some people are sensitive to a particular kind of bean, but not others. And when you look at them, they're quite different. Say a chickpea is very, very different from, say, a navy bean. But your doctor and your allergist can work with you to discover that. But keep in mind, we're looking at fruits, at vegetables, and at grains. So sometimes a soup that might be based on beans can be based on vegetables and greens in place of that.
Wonderful. Everyone, Dr. Barnard just gave us an amazingly exciting and inspiring preview of everything that you can find in the Power Foods diet. Dr. Barnard, where can people get this wonderful book?
Well, thank you for asking. The Power Foods diet is now on Amazon, and it's on all the online book sales places like Target and Barnes and Noble. But if there's still a bookstore in your neighborhood that's still opening its door, please visit them. They'd love to have your business. The Power Foods diet is
amazing. All the information plus all of those recipes that Dr. Barnard talked about, the overnight oats, the chickpea frittatas, the loaded toast, the chickpea salad sandwiches, crumbles, cookies, brownies, and that delicious looking carrot cake that we looked at. For everyone else who did share questions, no worries. We will get to answering them in the comments later on. Dr. Barnard, thank you so much for your time. If you were to leave a parting wisdom, of which I know you have so many with everyone who has joined us today, especially those who are just beginning this journey, what would it be?
2 quick points. One is focus on the short term. Don't worry about what you're going to eat 20 years from now. Focus on this week, next week. That allows you to really do it. The second thing is, now that you know a lot about how to use these power foods, and when you try these foods, share it. It's good to know things, but it's more important to share this information with people you love. Share it with your family members, your coworkers. Share it with your folks on social media, because when you give them the tools to improve their health, you're going to save somebody's life. So thank you for doing that.
And thank you for sharing that. Thank you for all that you do, Dr. Barnard. We are going to close it out in a very powerful way. To everyone who has joined, thank you so much. We hope that you feel better, that you live longer, that you improve your quality of life following and empowering Power Foods lifestyle. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday, everybody.